The night London went silent, a billionaire cried in an empty boardroom. Rain hit the glass like tapping fingers, impatient, relentless. Clara Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Global, stared at the termination letter in her hand, signed by her own board of directors. Her empire, her name, her father's legacy, slipping away like water she couldn't hold. The irony. Downstairs, in the lobby of that same glass tower, a man she had once mocked for not knowing his place was the only person who could save her. Malik Turner, the night guard. The man she barely looked at when she walked past every morning. He'd warned her weeks ago, "Someone's moving against you." She'd laughed, "Stick to guarding doors, not people." Now those words echoed like ghosts. And as the lights in her office flickered, and footsteps approached from the shadows, Clara realized the man she dismissed might be the only one left standing for her when everyone else had turned away. May every heart watching this story find strength in grace and redemption in love. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It truly makes me happy and encourages me to keep sharing these powerful stories across the US, Europe, and beyond. Now the full story. London slept under a drizzle that painted the streets with gold reflections of city lights. Inside the 48th floor of Whitmore Global Holdings, silence had weight. It was the kind of silence that only followed betrayal. Clara Whitmore sat behind her mahogany desk, her posture sharp, her face pale under the cold glow of her office light. She'd built her empire on discipline and fear. Fear of failure, fear of emotion, fear of trust. Now, the same walls she built to protect herself were closing in. Her board had met without her knowledge. An internal vote had been cast. Her position as CEO, the seat her late father had left her, was no longer guaranteed. The email had come at 11:42 p.m. from the chairman himself. Effective next week, the board will review your leadership due to financial irregularities and staff complaints. Please prepare a defense. She didn't need to read it twice. She knew what it meant. They wanted her out. Clara's jaw tightened. Her manicured hand trembled only once before she set the phone down. She would not cry, not in the same room that had watched her rise. Downstairs, in the lobby, Malik Turner adjusted his uniform collar and watched the security monitors. A tall, broad-shouldered man in his 30s, his face carried calm wisdom and quiet sadness. He'd served 8 years in the US Army, lost friends to wars that didn't make sense, and moved to London for peace. Peace never lasted long. On the monitors, he saw Clara alone in her office again. He could tell, even through the pixelated camera feed, that something was wrong. She was always composed, always distant, like ice wrapped in diamond. But tonight, her movements were off. She stood too long by the window. She paced without purpose. He thought of calling up, just to check in. But the last time he'd spoken to her, she'd made it clear she didn't appreciate small talk with staff. Her exact words still burned. "Mr. Turner, I don't pay you to care. I pay you to keep the doors closed." So he stayed quiet, like always. At 12:07 a.m., the storm outside deepened. Lightning illuminated the tower, and for a brief second, Malik saw something on the monitor, a shadow behind her. He frowned. No one else was supposed to be up there. He picked up his radio. "Control room, confirm. Is anyone else on the 48th floor?" Static. No reply. He tried again. "Control, respond." Nothing. A bad feeling crawled up his spine. Clara didn't hear the elevator ding. She was too lost in the sound of her own heartbeat, and the low hum of betrayal in her chest. Then came a voice from behind her. Smooth. Familiar. "Long night, Clara." She turned sharply. Adrian Cole, her chief financial officer, the man who had once been her closest ally. The same man she'd trusted to handle confidential accounts. Her tone was icy. "It's Ms. Whitmore to you. What are you doing here this late?" Adrian smirked, stepping closer. "I could ask you the same. You've been so busy cleaning your image, I thought I'd help you disappear a little faster." Her pulse spiked. He tossed a brown envelope onto her desk, photographs, printouts, financial documents, and something darker in his eyes. "You should have listened when I said we needed investors from abroad. You wanted control, remember? Now the company's bleeding, and the board's voting you out. But don't worry, Clara. I'll take care of Whitmore Global. The right way. She stepped back, her breath catching. You betrayed me. He smiled thinly. You betrayed yourself. And then, suddenly, he reached for her arm. Malik was already in the elevator before he even thought it through. Protocol said he should call the police, or at least wait for confirmation. But instinct said otherwise. As the elevator rose, his pulse quickened. He remembered her sharp words, her dismissive tone. But none of that mattered now. A soldier doesn't wait for orders when someone's in danger. When the doors slid open, the sight froze him. Clara stood cornered by the window, Adrian's grip tight on her wrist. Papers littered the floor. Her fear was visible now, raw, unmasked. Let her go. Malik's voice thundered across the room. Adrian turned, startled. Who the hell are you? Malik stepped closer, his tone steady. Security. Adrian scoffed. This doesn't concern you, guard. You're trespassing after hours, threatening an executive. It concerns me now. Clara pulled free in the distraction. Malik positioned himself between them, his frame casting a shadow over Adrian's arrogance. You don't want to do this, Malik warned. You have no idea what's going on here, Adrian spat. That woman's finished. She's a fraud. Maybe, Malik said, but tonight, you crossed the line. Adrian's hand darted into his coat. Malik reacted instantly, pinning him to the desk in a single motion. A metallic sound hit the floor, a pocket knife. You done? Malik growled. Adrian's confidence drained. You don't understand. Try me. Clara stood frozen. Her empire, her pride, and her fears, all shrinking beside the man she'd once treated like background noise. Security arrived minutes later, escorting Adrian out as police sirens grew near. Clara sat down slowly, trembling now. Malik handed her a glass of water. She didn't meet his eyes. You should have called the police, she whispered. Didn't have time. You disobeyed protocol. If I followed protocol, you'd be in the hospital. Silence. Finally, she looked up. For the first time, there was no arrogance in her gaze, only exhaustion. Why would you risk your job for me? He shrugged. Some things are worth more than jobs. Her throat tightened. For the first time in years, Clara Whitmore had no answer. Morning broke with a lie. The newspapers called it Whitmore Global in crisis. Stock prices bleeding red. Investors panicking. Clara Whitmore's face, cold, perfect, untouchable, plastered on every headline. She sat in her penthouse, motionless. Coffee gone cold. Phone buzzing with unanswered calls. Her assistant's voice cracked over voicemail. The board has called an emergency meeting. They're voting this afternoon. Clara closed her eyes. She had built everything from nothing, turned her father's dying logistics firm into a global empire. And now, because of one leaked contract, one betrayal, she was watching it all collapse. She clenched her fists.
Not theirs.
Not yet. Then. Knock. Knock. Ms. Whitmore. That voice. Soft. Steady. American. She turned. Standing at her door was Malik Turner, still in his security uniform. She frowned. How did you even get past the front desk? He held up a keycard. You gave it to me once, remember? Said I should use it if there was ever an emergency. She stared, speechless. She didn't remember. Malik stepped inside. I heard what happened. Thought you could use a friend. Clara's jaw tightened. I don't need pity from my employees. He nodded slowly. Good. Because I didn't bring pity. He set a folder on her table. Inside, security footage, timestamps, encrypted emails. Evidence. Malik's voice was calm but heavy. Whoever's leaking your company secrets, they've been using your own system against you. Clara blinked. How do you even have this? I notice things. Cameras. Access logs. People who stay late when they shouldn't. He hesitated. Someone closes to you selling you out. Her chest tightened. Name. He hesitated. Not yet. You need proof. You need to trust me first. She laughed bitterly. Trust? You expect me to trust a night guard who snoops around my building? Malik's jaw set. You expect me to stand by while someone destroys everything I protect? Silence. Only the rain outside filled the room. He turned to leave. But before he reached the door, he said softly, You can keep seeing enemies everywhere, Clara, or you can let one person stand with you. The door clicked shut behind him. For the first time in years, Clara felt something break inside her armor. Not pain, but guilt. Later that night at the Whitmore Global headquarters, the boardroom lights glowed. Men in suits whispered, smiled, plotted. Miss Whitmore, said the chairman, voice smooth as oil. We've decided it's in the company's best interest for you to step down temporarily pending investigation. Her throat burned. This is a coup. He smiled. Call it leadership evolution. Flashbulbs. Reporters. The world watched as Clara Whitmore, London's youngest female billionaire, was escorted out of her own building. Outside, Malik waited. She almost didn't see him in the crowd. But he stepped forward, holding out his umbrella. She didn't take it. She just whispered, Why are you still here? He looked straight at her. Because I don't guard buildings. I guard people. Now at the underground car park, Malik leaned against his car, scrolling through security footage on his phone. Then he froze. A shadow on screen. A woman from Clara's board, Angela Price, handing a drive to someone in a black car. Malik muttered, Got you. He hit call. Clara, it's Malik. Don't give up yet. You've got a traitor, and I've got her on camera. Her breath caught on the other end. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. Rain again. London loved its metaphors. Malik drove through the storm, wipers slashing, eyes fixed on the security feed glowing from his tablet. Angela Price, the chief financial officer, board darling, Clara's closest friend, was the traitor. The woman who toasted every Whitmore success with fake smiles and empty champagne. He parked by the River Warehouse, the address from the video. Inside, men unloaded boxes marked with the company's logo. Stolen inventory. Stolen empire. He hit record, whispered into the MIC. Evidence secured. Operation Price in motion. Then he sent a message. To Clara Whitmore. Subject, Do you trust me yet? Whitmore penthouse, same night. Clara's hands trembled around a glass of wine. The city glowed below, but her reflection looked empty. Malik's message blinked on her phone. She read it 3 times before answering. You have 5 minutes. Make me believe. Minutes later, a knock. She opened the door and froze. Malik stood drenched, blood on his sleeve, holding a flash drive. Your friend tried to run me off the road, he said. She's panicking. He handed her the drive. Everything's here. Emails, transfers, proof she's behind the leaks. Clara's breath shook. If this is true. It's true. She plugged in the drive. Files filled the screen. Angela's name everywhere. Betrayal hit like lightning. The woman she'd mentored. The one who'd sworn loyalty. Gone. Clara whispered, I trusted her. Malik replied quietly, Now you know why I said trust carefully. She turned to him, eyes wet. Why are you helping me? You owe me nothing. Malik smiled faintly. Because I see who you are when no one's watching. And I know what it's like to be blamed for everything when all you did was try to lead. Her walls cracked. Not all the way, but enough for a flicker of warmth to slip through. 48 hours later at the board meeting. Reporters swarmed the marble lobby. Rumors flew, Clara's resignation, takeover plans, bankruptcy whispers. Inside, she walked into the boardroom, head high. Malik, in a black suit, waited by the door. No longer just a guard, her silent ally. Angela Price sat opposite, calm, composed. But when Clara placed the flash drive on the table, the room shifted. Let's discuss integrity, Clara said. Screens lit up. Video playback. Angela exchanging cash. Emails. Bank receipts. Gasps. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Angela rose, voice cracking. "You set me up." Clara's tone cut like glass.
No, Angela.
"You set yourself up when you sold my company." Security entered. Malik gave a subtle nod. They led Angela out. For the first time in months, Clara breathed freely. But victory came with silence, too deep, too personal. She turned to Malik. "You could have gone to the press. You didn't. Why?" He shrugged. "Because you deserve to win clean." Later that night by the river bridge, they stood side by side, London lights glimmering on the Thames. Wind tugged at her hair. "I thought power made me untouchable," Clara said. "But I was wrong. It just made me lonely." Malik smiled softly. "Lonely people build walls. Brave ones tear them down." She looked at him, something fragile in her eyes. "And which am I?" He met her gaze. "We'll find out." For a heartbeat, the world was still. Then his phone buzzed, an alert. He frowned. "Someone's trying to wipe the servers," he said. Clara's stomach dropped. Angela. Or someone higher. The danger wasn't over. A larger hand was still at play. Clara whispered, "Then we fight again." Malik nodded. "Together this time." The camera of fate pulled back, rain falling, city humming, two figures united against a storm that hadn't yet passed. Morning light cut through the London fog. Clara's empire was still hers, but barely. The board had reinstated her, yes, but whispers lingered. Investors doubted. The press waited for blood. And now, another ghost moved in the dark. At the Whitmore Global server room, Malik's boots echoed on the metal floor. The hum of machines filled the air, steady, mechanical, deceitful. He plugged in a portable drive, eyes scanning lines of code. Someone was inside the network, copying entire databases. He muttered, "This isn't Angela. This is bigger." Sudden footsteps behind him. He turned, security uniform, unfamiliar face. Too calm. "Who sent you?" Malik asked. The man smiled, reaching for his pocket. "Gun." Malik moved first. Military reflex, silent strike. Gun hit the floor. Alarm blared. He grabbed the intruder's ID badge. Evan Coleman. IT director. Malik cursed under his breath. Evan, the same man Clara had promoted 2 months earlier. The real leak had been inside her circle all along. In the Whitmore executive floor. Clara paced the glass hall, phone pressed to her ear. "Malik, what's happening?" "Your IT director's been selling company data to a rival group in Dubai. I've got him in custody, but someone else is backing him. Someone with money and reach." Her heart pounded. "Who?" "Working on it. But you need to get out, now. You're the next target." Before she could respond, the elevator doors opened. 3 men in suits stepped out. Not hers. Malik's voice shouted through the phone. "Clara, move." She ran. At parking lots seconds later. Engines. Tires screeching. A black SUV blocked her car. Malik appeared from nowhere, sprinting through the rain. He yanked her behind a pillar as bullets shattered glass. She gasped, terrified. "Who are these people?" "Corporate mercenaries. They want the drive." "The drive's in my office." "Not anymore," Malik said, pulling it from his jacket. "I made a copy." Her eyes widened. "You thought ahead." "I always do." He tossed her his car keys. "Get in and drive. I'll buy you time." She froze. "I'm not leaving you." He smiled faintly. "You just ordered your boss to run." She gripped his arm. "And you're fired if you die." They exchanged a breath, half laugh, half fear. Then she ran. Malik turned, gun in hand, ready to face the storm. At the warehouse safehouse, hours later. The rain had stopped. Clara sat on a crate, soaked and shaking. Across from her, Malik patched a cut on his arm. "You could have been killed," she said. He looked up. So could you? I'm serious. So am I. Silence stretched between them, tense, fragile, magnetic. Finally, she whispered, You risked your life for me. Why? He met her eyes. Because I don't protect companies, Clara. I protect people who've forgotten how to protect themselves. She swallowed. Something inside her, frozen for years, melted a little. Later that night, they stood near the old window, city lights flickering far away. I spent my life proving I didn't need anyone, she said. Malik nodded. And how's that working out? She smiled through tired eyes. Terribly. He chuckled. For the first time, she saw warmth behind his quiet strength. Then his phone buzzed again. Message from a contact in cybersecurity. He read it, face tightening. Source traced. Buyer identified.
Whitmore Global Rival, Roth Industries.
CEO. Thomas Roth. Clara's pulse stopped. Thomas Roth, she whispered. My father's old partner. The man who'd stolen half her inheritance years ago. Malik looked at her. He never stopped trying to destroy your name. Then he just declared war, she said coldly. The next day in the Whitmore Tower, Clara returned to the office like a queen walking into enemy territory. Employees stared, murmuring. She marched straight to the press room. Malik followed, shadow silent. Cameras flashed. I was betrayed by those I trusted, she began, voice steady. But today, Whitmore Global stands unbroken. She turned to the cameras, eyes blazing. To those who tried to steal what we built, thank you. You reminded me why we fight harder. Thunderous applause. The stock price began climbing within hours. Confidence, restored. At the rooftop that evening, wind rushed around them. Clara looked over the city she'd almost lost. Everything feels different now, she said softly. Malik nodded. Because you are. She faced him. You could leave now. You've done your duty. He smiled. Maybe my duty changed. For a moment, words weren't needed. Just a shared silence filled with everything unsaid. Then her phone rang, unknown number. She answered. A voice she hadn't heard in years. Clara, it's Roth. You think this is over? You have something that belongs to me. Line went dead. Malik's eyes met hers. Round 2, he said. She nodded. Let's end this. The skyline burned gold as the camera pulled back, 2 figures silhouetted against London's heart, ready for the final reckoning. London slept under a silver dawn. But Clara Whitmore did not. She sat in her office, the skyline glowing behind her, the world watching for her next move. On her desk, one flash drive. Inside it, enough proof to destroy Thomas Roth forever. Malik stood by the window, arms folded. You sure you want to go through with this? Clara nodded. I've been running from his shadow since I was 20. It ends today. He smiled faintly. Then let's make sure it ends for good. At the Whitmore Global Press Conference, cameras flashed. Every major network tuned in. Clara stepped to the podium, graceful, steady, unbreakable. She began. For years, Whitmore Global has stood for integrity. Today, that integrity is tested. Behind her, the projector came to life. Emails, accounts, video clips. Thomas Roth's fingerprints on every sabotage attempt. Gasps filled the room. Reporters shouted questions. And somewhere, far away, in a dark office, Roth's face turned pale as screens displayed his downfall in real time. Moments later at Whitmore Tower basement, Roth's men were desperate. They stormed the building, armed, ruthless, cornered. Malik moved before anyone else could react. Stay behind me, he ordered. Clara protested. Malik. But he was already gone, disappearing into the smoke-filled corridor. Gunfire. Shouts. Chaos. Then silence. Footsteps. Malik emerged, breathing hard, bruised, but alive. They're done, he said. She exhaled, trembling. Then, without thinking, she hugged him. For a second, the world vanished. Just the two of them, and the sound of her heartbeat against his chest. Later at the rooftop at sunset. The storm had passed. London glowed gold again. Clara stood beside Malik, watching the city that had nearly broken her. "I used to think strength meant standing alone," she said softly. He smiled. "Now you know it means standing with the right person." She turned to him. "What will you do now?" He shrugged. "Guess that depends." "On what?" He met her gaze. "On whether the CEO of Whitmore Global still needs a guard." She smiled, warm, genuine. "Maybe I need more than a guard," she whispered. Their eyes held. No grand confessions. No forced endings. Just two souls who had fought their way through fire, finally finding peace. Weeks later. A charity gala. Cameras flashing. Clara Whitmore, radiant, standing beside Malik, now head of corporate security. They exchanged a quiet smile before stepping on stage. Together, they announced the launch of the Turner Whitmore Foundation, a fund supporting underprivileged youth and veterans. The crowd applauded. The empire reborn. Love, redeemed through purpose. As the applause faded, a woman in the audience turned away, dialing her phone. Her voice low, dangerous. "She thinks Roth was the end? Tell our employer she's wrong. The game's just beginning." She hung up. Every empire hides another story. Watch next, The Billionaire's Secret War of Clara and Her Enemies.